Hi, welcome to this week's Artisan Wellbeing report. This week I want to talk about the idea of depression and how Ayurveda sees depression. I was chatting with a friend the other day and we were talking on the topic just in general, and I jokingly said to her that I don't do depression, I do frustration. And we had a bit of a laugh about that, but really there's something to it. When I think about friends of mine who have been on or been diagnosed with depression and been recommended medication, sometimes they need to go through a series of trials with medication because it's misdiagnosed as more anxiety and needing anti-anxiety medication. And I had one friend that had suicidal thoughts. I don't remember the particular pharmaceutical that they were taking, and I've had others that thought they were going to have a heart attack because their heart was palpitating too high. And I think that it's really important to be able to, that if you're ever in a situation where you feel that depression is something that you're experiencing and you want to seek help for it, and you're at a stage where you want to seek acute care help for it and go to a get a Western diagnosis, I think it's really important to be able to be in a position where you can explain the symptoms to a doctor well enough. I think sometimes people will go to a doctor and we all want somebody, and this is not even a doctor, this is a hairdresser, this is an Ayurvedic practitioner, this is a builder for your home, an architect, but we want somebody else to be able to look at us and know what would suit us or what would work for us or what could help us. And part of the responsibility of being a big person, I think, is to know what you want and then to seek out the appropriate person that can deliver what you want. And even though there is this idea in Western medicine that through their diagnostic tools, they can determine what's wrong with you, or going to an Ayurvedic practitioner and getting your pulse read, they can tell you who you are. But even as I sat in front of Dr. Ladd, and when he was teaching the pulse workshop, when you go up to him and you sit there and he checks your pulse and he asks you, what do you think? And a lot of folks will just sort of say something, but really they want to hear what Dr. Ladd says and they want to hear what he thinks of you. But if you notice closely, he wants you to think about yourself and to figure it out on your own. When I was with him in Pune, I'm totally going off course here, but I think it's kind of relevant. But when I was in Pune and doing the internship with him and was thinking deeply on a particular topic, and we were on a break and I was talking to another student and said, I don't know if you can necessarily diagnose yourself. The reason being is that if you're full of toxins, you can't sometimes see yourself clearly. Anyway, Dr. Ladd walks in at this point and I asked him, I said, Dr. Ladd, we're discussing this and I was just curious as to your opinion. And he looked me directly in the eye and said, oh, no, you should always diagnose yourself, and walked off. And so we were both left there going, what? So of course, right? And so after that, I thought deeply on that. I thought deeply on what he said, and I thought about the times I've spent with him. I thought about the times I've done the workshops with him, and how every time he wants you to think for yourself. He wants you to get to a process through meditation, through your daily practice, of coming to your own conclusion, of being your own master, of being your own guru, that he's just a guide, that we're all just guides in this. Therefore, coming back to that point, that I believe that it is of great importance to get to the point where you don't have to know the intensity of what a disease is about, but to be able to describe to a physician on what you're feeling is well worth taking some kind of mindfulness process or working with an Ayurvedic practitioner or somebody that helps you to look within. So back to depression. and understanding the variations that all seem to be coming under one particular topic. And I think that is doing a disservice to humanity. And as you know, in Ayurveda, we like to break people down into the various body types and the computations of these. But as I look on the Mayo Clinic, quite an esteemed clinic in the US, and I look at how they define depression and this type of symptoms that they've listed, which is really interesting, right? So from an Ayurvedic perspective, I'm going to look at this. So feelings of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, or hopelessness. Sadness, potentially be Kapha dosha. Tearfulness, the same kind of thing. Emptiness is usually kind of a vacuous, spacious sort of feeling. So now we're looking at Vata dosha, or hopelessness. Angry outbursts, now we're looking at Pitta. Irritability or frustration, Pitta. Loss of interest or pleasure, loss of interest is probably Kapha, a lack of motivation. And again, I'm just being super simplified in this, and the point I'm trying to make is how varied, how you would look at the human and treat the human for the disorders in the humans, as opposed to giving them one kind of medication for depression. Sleep disturbances, including insomnia Vata, or sleeping too much, Kapha. Tiredness and lack of energy, that could be pretty much like a lot of toxins in the system. It could relate to all three doshas. But we wouldn't give you medication. We would look at reducing the toxins in the system and organising the appetite in this situation. Reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased cravings for food and weight gain. Weight loss, Vata. Increased cravings, well, it depends on the dosha and the craving. Weight gain, Kapha. Anxiety, as you know, Vata dosha. Agitation or restlessness, Vata dosha. Slowed thinking, Kapha. Speaking or body movements. Feeling of worthlessness or guilt, this is a mind disorder. It's hard to figure that one out, but guilt probably would be Kapha dosha. Self-blame. Trouble thinking, concentrating, Vata dosha. Making decisions and remembering things, Vata dosha. Frequent or recurrent thoughts of death, suicidal thoughts. Well, this could be related to fear, could be related to Pitta. I think Kapha is usually too lazy to commit suicide. But a lot of the times suicidal thoughts can come out through frustration of not feeling like you have control. And that's usually a Pitta thing. But I'm being very broad in that idea. Unexplained physical problems such as back pain or headaches. Unexplained physical problems. Of course, we can understand the root of that in Ayurveda. So now you get to see that if you can work on the particular dosha, then you're working on the depression as a result of the body humors going out of balance. And I think that's all I'm going to say today. Really, all I wanted to just put across to you is to understand yourself well enough to know exactly what it is that you're feeling. And it doesn't necessarily have to come under the title of depression, and can be looked at in a lot of different ways. So anyway, food for thought. And I hope that your week is beautiful. Thanks for listening. Bye.